we need to grab something in virtual reality. But the first step is to give me 1 second. Come here, you stupid little controller that I definitely didn't set up as a skit to show the power of the Near Far Interactor. Just like in real life, in virtual reality, having to grab things off the ground or from across the room kinda sucks. But luckily today we are going to be solving that using the Near Far Interactor. Now for this tutorial, I am going to be using Unity 6.0, and then I'm also going to be using the template that they provide. So you create a new project, start off with this template, create new project, and we are going to be in this sample scene. And this is how I'm going to be showing off the power of the Near Far Interactor. I'm also going to be using the XR Interaction Toolkit 3.1. If you don't know what version you have, you can come over to the package manager, see which ones you have installed, and you see here I have 3.1. And I believe 3.0 should work just fine as well because that's when they added the Near Far Interactor. Now, before 3.0, in getting the Near Far Interactor, we used to have a ray interactor and then a direct interactor. Direct interactor would allow you to hover your controller, and if your sphere or collider entered this kind of area where its collider was, you could grab the object. The ray interactor, well, you could interact with things from afar using the ray. Now, the Near Far Interactor actually gives us a combined approach. Now, with the newer versions of the XR Interaction Toolkit, we are combining those powers, so we can grab things from afar, drag them to our controller, and then it will switch to a direct interaction. That is the Near Far Interactor. Instead of making your players bend down to pick up a tool or something, now they can just grab it using the Near Far Interactor, which is way more preferred. I don't want to have to bend down in a game and grab something. That sucks. So let's dive into the magic of the Near Far Interactor. If you want to locate it, you can just expand out the XR origin, and you can just find it under one of the controllers. You can see every single controller has one, as well as the left hand and right hand, and that's just switching between hand tracking and then the controller being tracked. So that's why there's multiple of these things. All right, the Near Far Interactor. Let's stay focused. Now, I'm aiming to give a broad overview of this thing. If you feel like this tutorial is going too fast, I do have an hour-long tutorial that goes over all these components and how these things work. So if you haven't watched something like that yet, please go do that. But if you have, stay tuned. Let's dive into the Near Far Interactor. Now, the first component is the main component, the Near Far Interactor. But we have a few other components that are attached here, and I can just minimize these and explain what they're doing. So first, the Near Far Interactor is going to act as kind of the coordinator for all these other components. We also have an interaction attach controller. Now, what this allows is more customization on how we are grabbing objects. So with the Near Far Interactor, you can imagine we want to have some fine-tuning that we want to implement when we are selecting something. And so that is what the interaction attach controller does. But let me keep going over the brief overview here. We also have a sphere interaction caster. This little guy is going to be the thing that is responsible for determining what is within the sphere of our Near Far Interactor to be considered a direct interaction. So think of this as before it used to be the direct interactor would have a sphere collider to it. Well, instead, this is making kind of a sphere raycast to detect what's around the hand and what's considered a direct interaction. Next up, we have the curve interaction caster, and this is going to be the guy that is representative of the ray. So we have our direct interactor is the sphere interaction caster. The curve interaction caster is going to be our ray interaction caster from before. That's how they're combining these things. And then a simple haptic feedback. So when we do things, it'll add haptic feedback. Pretty nice. Now let's go back to the Near Far Interactor and see how it combines all these things together. First and foremost, with the Near Far Interactor is the question, how do I interact with an object? Well, if you look at this object right here, we have an XR Grab Interactable. That's it. You just got to slap an XR Grab Interactable onto an object that you want to grab. Now, other things you want to make sure that you have on this is a rigid body and some form of collider, so it knows where you're interacting with it and how to work with it physics-wise. But let's hop back to the Near Far Interactor, the star of our show. Now, a few things that I want to point out here. We have a reference to the Interaction Manager. The Interaction Manager just acts as a referee between your interactor and interactable. So you have a interactor, like the Near Far Interactor, and an interactable, like this candy cane. And then the Interaction Manager just determines, should it be grabbed? How should it be grabbed? And just kind of sits as the middleman between those two. We also have an Interaction Layer Mask. Now, the interaction layer mask allows us to determine if something is grabbable. So you'll see here, the Near Far Interactor has a layer mask, and so does this candy cane. Why do they call it a blaster? Whatever. It also has an interaction layer mask, and they're both set to default. So that means they have overlapping layers, so they can interact. But maybe you don't want them to interact. You could simply just add a layer to, let's say, the grab interactable, and say it is called grabbable. come back to here, set this to grabbable, turn that off, there we go. And now these don't have interacting layers. They won't interact with each other, and that's sad. So I'm gonna come back to this blaster and set it back to default so we can interact with it in the future. Now, what else do I need to point out here? We have handedness. So is it left-handed, right-handed, or none? And then select action trigger. And so we have a few different things here. We have state, state change, toggle, and sticky. Now, how the select action trigger works is it determines how we will grab objects in our game. So the first one's going to be state. So if I take this button and hold down the grip button, as soon as I hover over something that I can grab, and if I'm holding it down, it'll grab it. And you can see it grabbed it. Now, the next one is called state change. So it only cares if the state has changed. So if I'm holding down the grip button like before and hover over something, nothing's going to happen. But if I am hovering over it and then press the grip button, then I can grab it. Now, the next one is called toggle. So the way this one works is if I hover over something and just press the grip button once, I don't have to hold down the grip button and it'll keep it in place. I can still hold it without holding that grip button, but if I press it again, boom, it toggles it off. Now, the last one is going to be called sticky, kind of like this tutorial. If you stuck with it this far, then you might want to go check out my Patreon, where I am going to be teaching a masterclass on the XR Interaction Toolkit, where we are building a game called Zombunnies. But that's it. That's my plug. Let's get back to the tutorial. So the sticky toggle, how that works is it's just like toggle. I can grab something, but it's only going to release upon the release of the second release, if that makes sense. So I have released the grip button. I'm going to press it again, and toggle would normally let go at this point, but this is going to wait until I release the grip button and it lets go. So that's it. That's all four. Now, I am not going to get into the nitty-gritty of all of these things, otherwise this tutorial is going to take forever. What I'm going to point out are the important properties that I think you should know getting started. You can choose whether or not you want to enable or disable far casting or near casting simply by toggling these bad boys on and off. So obviously this one would allow you to interact with things close up. If we turned it off, well, it wouldn't. And same goes for the far casting. Now, if you want the objects to instantly fly towards your hands, you could always switch this to near right here. Or if you want it when you pick it up and it still remains far, then you select it to far. We can also toggle on and off the UI interactions right here. So if you don't want this to interact with all the UI elements, feel free to turn it off here. Or if you like it having that multi-functionality, then leave it there. And of course, you can also add important things like different interactor events. So if you're selecting something or exiting something, this is where you can maybe add in a custom script and say, well, if we're selecting something, maybe play a quick sound, like a click or a pop. I'm going to keep moving on from here, but make sure to come in and experiment with all these things. Sorry, I'm not covering absolutely every little detail, but it's a YouTube video, baby. What do you expect from me? So, interaction attached controller. This is where we can kind of fine tune the way we interact with objects and how we pick them up and how they rotate. One important feature that I want to point out here is allowing yourself to pick up an object and being able to manipulate it and move it forward and backwards using your thumbstick. So you can see here I'm able to pick up this square, and then if I press the thumbstick back, it's going to drag it to me and then forward. And so this is where we can set that and we can rotate it. So this is where we get all of this kind of control, or even when I wiggle it around and track this kind of velocity, this is the component that allows us to really have fine tuning of these controls. If I bring it close enough, you can see now it's a direct interaction. I can no longer use the thumbstick. So yeah, all those little details can be found here. If you don't like it being able to be used to manipulate using the thumbstick and you want people to grab things from far away and just have them hover there for some reason, you can turn it off, but I think you should leave it on. The whole point of this is so you can grab things from far away, so I don't have to bend over and pick things up. But, you know, you might have a custom use case. Like I said before, we have the sphere interaction caster. So again, this is going to be the direct interactor, and if you ever need to change the size of the cast radius, you can do so here. Point 1 does work very well, otherwise people can grab things from very far away, but it's supposed to be a near interaction. It feels kind of weird. So I would just kind of leave it at that. We can also set the physics layers that we're actually allowed to interact with. Default's fine for now, but if you ever want to really get into the nitty gritty of what physics layers you can interact with, you can do so here. So next up, yeah, we have the curve interaction caster. This is going to give us all the power and control of how our rays are going to be interacting with objects and what that looks like and how far it can go. So if you want to change the distance of things you can interact with, it's going to be this cast distance down here, and you can see I can shorten it, and it's going to be in meters, and you can see here this little gizmo over here. Let's see. There we go. You can see it better right there. So I'm going to set it back to 10, and you can see it shoots out and extends all the way there. We can change the shape of it. We can have a simple ray. We can have a sphere cast, which is a big old sphere. And we can have the cone cast, which is the default. So as it extends out, it looks like it gives us a wider range in what it will determine to be interactable. And then we can also just change the angle, so we can make it even wider if we wanted to. So this is where we really can customize how we are interacting with objects from a distance. And another one is if you want to filter out different layers, you can do so with the raycast mask. Right now it's default in UI, so we can interact with default and UI components. Very nice fine tuning in both, almost every aspect of how all of these interactions work. And the last one is the simple haptic feedback. If you want to add vibrations when you select something or hover over something, this is where you do that. So select entered, we can crank up the amplitude, the frequency, and how long. It's always good to give users feedback and let them know when something's happening. So that is the Near Far Interactor, but that is only one half of the equation. I also still want to talk about this guy right over here, the blaster, which I'm still trying to figure out why it's called the blaster. In order to grab objects, it needs to have an XR grab interactable onto it. And there's a few things that you should know here as well. This is going to be a very quick overview. Again, we have the interaction layer mask that we can associate it with. It's going to have different colliders, so what it considers its colliders. And you can see this doesn't have any set, but if I come down here, you can see here we have a little collider here, a capsule collider, and a box collider. And since we don't set it, this script's going to go in and it's going to look in the children, it's going to look in itself for any component that has colliders, and it's just going to attach them there. And then we have different movement types, which this is very important if you want to have your objects act correctly or act in ways that you expect. So first off, we have instantaneous. So instantaneous is going to work by pretty much tracking instantly with wherever my movement is. And whenever I go through an object with a collider, it is just going to shoot right through it. It's not going to care. It's going to turn off the physics there. But when I let go of it, then it cares about the physics again. Now, velocity tracking is going to be a little different. I can pick it up, and it's going to lag behind a little bit because it's tracking the velocity of the object and not instantly moving with my controller. Plus, it leaves on the physics. So when I run it into a object that has a collider, it's not going to turn off the physics and just have it go right through. It's going to flop around. And the last one I'm going to show is kinematic. Now, kinematic keeps the tracking going, but you'll notice it will go through the object like instantaneous. So we still get that nice velocity tracking, but it's going to turn off the physics for colliders. You're not going to, it's kinematic, so it means no physics. Until you let it go, and then it turns it back on. Now, you might get some goofy interactions here as well, because you'll notice I can pick up this blaster, as they call it, and it instantly shoots to my hand, even though my hand, the Near Far Interactor here, is set to the far attach mode. And the reason that is happening is if I select the blaster can also customize how it wants to attach. So you can see here it says far attach mode is near. So that's why it does it near. So you can defer to interactor, near, or far. So you can see here, it instantly attaches. And I can sit here and say, why are you a blaster? Now, this was just a brief overview of how to interact with objects in VR using the Near Far Interactor and grab interactables. There's still a ton that we can go into. I have multiple tutorials that go in more depth on each specific one, but I thought I could do a fun, fresh review because there's so much new stuff in the XR Interaction Toolkit. If you found this useful and helpful, go check out my Patreon or any of my other tutorials on YouTube. I'll see you on the next one. Oh, that's why it's called Blaster. Bye-bye!